Good morning. In this video, we're going to run a t-test using the t-test and apples practice quiz data within Excel. So let's do this. First, you're going to go to the Canvas site and download the data in the quiz. And there's a couple ways to do this. I'll show you a workaround of some of the common problems we run into. But I want to highlight the data within the quiz first and do Control-C to copy. And then you can paste this right into Excel, but if we do that, you'll see it changes our formatting, it fills the cells with a color, and it doesn't paste all that great. And this in fact pastes better than it does a lot of the times. So what you do to get around that is you can go to Notepad, paste the data first in a Notepad, and then Control-A to select all, Control-C to copy, then go back to Excel and paste the Notepad data. And you'll see that paste using the default font and strips any of the weird formatting off of it. So for this week's quiz, you'll see in the directions, we're going to run descriptives and a two-tailed, two-sample, assuming equal variance t-test. So I'm going to copy and paste that just so I have it in Excel for me. And we're not going to run the descriptives in this video just because we've done that earlier in the semester. So to run the t-test, first thing we're going to do is we're going to do data analysis, and then we know from the quiz directions we want a t-test, two-sample, assuming equal variance. So click on that one and do OK. Then for variable 1 range, I'll highlight the Farm A column, and then I did Control-Shift down arrow to go all the way down the bottom. And then while I'm thinking about it, I want to check labels, because you'll see in that top cell I highlighted, it includes the text farm name. And I want to be sure that Excel doesn't think that's data. I want Excel to know that that is the label for the column. And I'll do the same thing for Farm B and do Control-Shift down arrow to get the whole column. And then just to make sure that everything is parallel, I want to check that my references line up. So I went from row 6 to row 106, and then row 6 to row 106, and then within column C and within column D. So everything checks out. Hypothesized mean difference for everything we do in this class is going to be 0 because we're running a t-test to see if the groups are statistically the same. And so if they're the same, we're going to hypothesize that there's no difference, or the difference of 0. We always leave alpha at 0.05. If you're in some of the animal sciences, oftentimes you'll change that to 0.01 or sometimes even 0.001. But for everything we do in this class, leave that dude at 0.05. For output range, I always like to stick it on the same sheet I'm working. So I'll click in that box and click here in F8. And then, if everything's right, we'll click OK. And you'll see it brings up the two-sample t-test, assuming equal variances. Then, I'll highlight for you what's important. You'll have the mean from the descriptives you ran. We don't report variance, we do standard deviation, so you'll have that from the descriptives you ran as well. And then down here, we need to pay attention to the probability that P is less than or equal, that T is less than or equal to T for the two-tailed. So we're going to do this one. And that's your p-value. Now, something to keep in mind here. Excel reports teeny tiny values like this with the E negative 71. So what that means, that's scientific notation. So that would mean that since the E negative 71, since a negative is there in front of 71, that means you move the decimal place 71 spots to the left. So this is a teeny value. It's 0.000, 71 zeros, and then this number. So when you report this, rather than including all 71 zeros, you can just report it as P less than 0.001. So in your results, if you were to write it up, you report it as that. The other important number here is the t-stat. Now keep in mind the rule of cut for t-statistics is plus or minus 2. Anything greater than roughly 2, give or take, means you have an extreme value. And so since this is 28, we can tell that there's definitely a difference in the size of apples produced at Farm A and Farm B. And then you can run the measure of effect then to determine exactly how big that difference was. But we kind of knew that looking at the means. We can tell the mean right there is what is that, 20, almost 20 points, 20 units larger on Farm B than it is on Farm A. So we can kind of guess that there's going to be a statistically significant difference. So there you have it. That's how to run the data to get the answers for the quiz for this week. Once again, this was the The quiz was titled T-Test, Apples Practice, and Quiz, and this was in the T-Test module. If you have any questions, be sure and send me a quick email, and I'll do my best to return your email within like a day or so. All right, best of luck to you.